It's really hard to swallow a card in a beer. So I'm literally gagging through this, trying to get this beer down with this like card that's like folded up and trying to swallow this card.
Free choice. Screw up. Chug.
It was gross and not a smooth fun. Everyone's like, what this is really, but I'm like, this in my head, I'm like, this is still play okay. This is still, it might even help the bit. I get it down finally, just like, oh my God. And I stand there and I'm doing the piss part. And I look down and it is not revealing a card in my pants. It is just a 36-year-old man pissing his pants.
Welcome back, friends. Today I drove down to Janesville, Wisconsin to sit with a magically hilarious individual. His YouTube channel has hundreds of millions of views. He's appeared on Ellen, Penn and Teller, Netflix, America's Got Talent, MTV, even had his own TV show for a while. Welcome to the show, Wes Barker, aka the Stunt Magician. I almost had my intro perfect.
Yeah, you nailed it.
I was
all
like
the way
right to the end. Dude, I tried so hard. So in your own words, who are you and what are you passionate about?
Oh, man. I'm Wes Barker and I'm passionate mostly about making my wife laugh, seeing the world, and then trying to get as famous as possible doing comedy magic.
And you've done a pretty good job because your Instagram's at like, I don't know, which we connected over Instagram quite a while ago at this point. And I don't remember how that happened, but I'm stoked that it did.
Yeah, I posted a feet pic and you were right on it right
Sick,
away.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously that was move. Okay, so I'm going to quick summarize your story so that way, because a lot of my listeners won't know who you are. They could obviously Google it, but if you look up podcasts about you, or even if you just watch like America's Got Talent, they always give the same little spiel.
Yes.
So I'll give the quick little spiel. So your first earliest memories of magic where you were taking guitar lessons, and in order to like make you incentivize you to do the guitar lessons, this guy showed you a bunch of magic tricks, didn't do anything creepy to you, which is awesome. So that was when you were like 5 years old. And then all these years passed, you got to have regular high school experiences. You weren't the weird kid with the cape. And at 19, you were working for the city, filling potholes and whatnot. And you had a bunch of downtime. So you bought books about magic. Don't really know why, but you did. And so you slowly started to learn that. You were doing more and more. Years passed. And then you were up for a promotion at work. Your boss called you in and was like, hey, we want to offer you more money to do this job you hate. Mm-hmm. And you saw yourself with a big gray beard still doing this thing. And you were like, this is not the life that I want at all. You freaked out. You quit your job. And then you're like, I'm going to be a full-time magician, but I don't actually have hardly any income coming in, and we're just going to make it work.
It's a great summary. That's it.
Dope, dude. And then you cold called a bunch of people, and you were taking whatever jobs you could get at schools and colleges and old folks' homes and all that kind of thing. And then you had some moments on social media take off. You had rented out a theater, borrowed money from a friend. You guys threw this big old magic show, sold the tickets individually by sending messages to people, begging them to come and hang out with you. And then you videotaped it, you cut it into clips, and then those clips went viral, and all of a sudden you were on TV.
That's it.
Sick, dude. Okay.
Easy.
We got through all of it in the first like couple of minutes. Okay, so other than that, what's your favorite basketball memory? I'll just throw you off because you play collegiate basketball, right?
I think my favorite basketball memory is for sure we won the provincial championships my first year. Yeah, my first year at university. I was a bench warmer, but we won, and I've never won a major championship before. So like I never got to cut a net down before. Like even in high school, like I was the best player, in my area, in my school, whatever, but I wasn't on the best team, so we were like not going to win. So yeah, cutting down the net and having my turn to go up the ladder and cut part of the net off, even though I played like 11 minutes.
Dude, 11 minutes is better than no minutes. That's sick.
Well, I meant 11 minutes in the tournament, not in the game.
Oh. So you're only like 5'9". Did you ever dunk?
Yeah.
You had the hops?
Yeah, I know. I could like, I did dunk like just, my buddies were like, you can't do it. Like, you get a dirty one-hander in there, but like I would never be able to like dunk in a game, or it was not easy for me. So,
sure.
But I would constantly try.
When you learn,
I have like one video of me doing it. Just
that's
like,
all it takes,
just for like proof forever.
Dude, that's all it takes. I have like one photo of my bowling score of like 214 and 234. I don't know, huge number that I've never hit again. And I'm like, see, I did that one time. I got a photo of me surfing. Did that.
Yeah, exactly.
Got the skydiving video, did it. You can't say that I didn't do it. So going back to magic though, what was the first trick that you did learn? Was it when you were 19 or when you were 5? Were you like learning the styrofoam with the little pencil water trick?
Yeah, when I was 5, I was like just watching these tricks, and he was the guy would like teach me some of them, right?
Yeah.
Mostly he would just perform them, and then every now and then he'd like show me how it works.
Was it the like thumb?
Yeah,
thing?
there was all those ones. Yeah, the fake thumb and everything. But like, it was never like, I was like, oh, cool. But I wasn't like, then I took it and I went home and I practiced it myself. It was just learning and appreciating and liking the magic. So I didn't really start doing magic tricks until I was 19. And my first one probably was like a coin trick I'd learned. I saw it in a book, and then I think maybe I went on something. It wasn't YouTube back then. It was some other site that had like where you could learn how to do magic tricks. So I saw it in the book, and I'm like, I don't really understand this. Like, I looked it up on this other site. I can't remember the name of it, and it basically involved vanishing a coin. But like there was involved drilling a hole in a quarter and putting like a fishing line and running it around your body, and it was like the most elaborate way to vanish a coin, really.
Yeah. Now that I drop in your sleeve.
Now that I know all the sleight of hand, I'm like, what a waste of time. But It was really sick. So I'd wear this jacket with this like coin and this wire this fishing line all hooked up to it. I'd wear it out like every day, and I'd like grab my coin and be like, look at this, and I'd put it on my leg, and then I'd move this arm, and then the coin would go up my sleeve, and I'd be like, it's pretty sick, but it's just a lot of extra BS for no reason.
Did you wear that to work to impress your friend, like underneath the safety vest and everything?
I'd wear it all the time. I wore the same jacket every day for like months and months, just because I was like, no matter how hot it was or anything.
Is that so? How long was it between then and the first time you did any kind of magic show, period? And what was the first time that you performed? Do you remember? Was it like 5 people at a friend's birthday party or something?
For years, it was like just doing card tricks at someone's party. Yeah. Like, and I would do that. I don't remember even the first one because it happened so gradually. I would start to just like take over the campus pub or that kind of thing, or like I'd be a house party, I would just break out the cards. Next thing you know, you're like doing like a 30-minute show for everybody.
Sure.
And you got all the attention, and that quickly graduated to come to my uncle's birthday, come to my dad's retirement, come to my company party. I don't even remember the first time people started paying me for it. I do remember the first time like doing stage shows.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, this doing magic down here for people versus like now I'm performing for an audience.
Sure.
That was like a nightmare.
Well, tell me about that experience. Was that after you had quit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like quite a while after?
I think I had never... Oh, I'd done like one stage show before I quit my job. Because like the first 3 years when I quit my job was just surviving on doing close-up magic mostly and really small stage shows. But yeah, before I quit my job, I had this one big company party. It was like 400 people, and I'd never done a show for more than literally 40 people at that point. And they hired me, and I didn't even know what to quote them money-wise. They must have thought I was insane. I think I said $1,200 and thinking that was like a big number. And they were like, okay, sure. And then this is a 40-minute thing. I bombed so bad. Like I call it the crime of the century. It's absolutely... Like even that $1,200, like I stole their money.
You were overpaid.
Oh, I'm just like trying to do card tricks, so holding them above my head, and like I was just doing a bunch of like a bunch of stolen jokes I'd seen online. Like I didn't even know the ethics of like stealing jokes back then. Like I was just so green.
Yeah.
I had no. I knew some party tricks like ripping a phone book in half, but I didn't have like a trick for that. So I just ripped the phone book in half and threw the pages on the ground, and everyone's just like, "All right." It was just so bad, man. Oh my God.
But at least this was before social media, so nobody captured it and then berated you in the comments saying like, you stole this from this person, you stole this from this person.
True.
You could kind of get away with things a little bit at that point.
Well, and even now, like I wouldn't even try to lie about it. I have a video of this performance.
You're going to have to send it to me because I want to splice it in for a clip. That would be incredible.
Well, it's at my dad's. It's on a mini disc. It's a long time ago. I'd have to find it, but maybe I can. But like, it was so gross and bad, but like I would just own it now.
Sure.
I'd be like, pause. This came from Wayne Dobson. Pause. This came from, Jim Jeffries.
That
Pause.
would be a good video for your own YouTube channel.
It probably would,
because
actually.
you do a lot of like breakdown things like that with commentary.
And I was like 35 pounds fatter back then.
Sure.
So then I'd be like, look how good I look now. That would also be fun.
Yeah. Now you're crushing it. I want to hear. Can you give me like what the general little spiel? Like you must have had basic, because my understanding, and it's the same way, like I send messages to guests, you respond because you're not that cool apparently, and you just respond right away.
Damn right.
But no, there's like I send, the same general message a lot of times. Same way when I'm reaching out to sponsors where I know the spiel, right? It's pretty short. And I'm like, I've said this many, many times. When you were reaching out to all these schools and stuff and you weren't established, guaranteed you sent basically the same message. What was the message?
Yes. Oh yeah. I would just lie about like kind of I kind of felt like a carpet salesman or something, where or, like I would tell them I'm in their area. That was the big thing, right? I would be like, hey, I'm already got a corporate event in your, in this town or whatever. So I was thinking maybe on this day or this day you want to add a show at your school or whatever.
And you didn't have a corporate event.
No. And I'm like, and I'd be like, it won't be very expensive. Like the travel's already paid for by this mystery corporate event that I'm not going to elaborate on.
Sure.
And that was like always my in, was like, I'm already going to be here. Do you want to add on a show for cheap? Because there's no travel costs or whatever. And it worked so well. I would get up every morning at 7. I'd start at the East Coast because I was living in Vancouver, far West Coast, right? 7 a.m. is 10 a.m. their time. And I would just start hitting like just different schools. I'd just Google a city, pick a school, hit them with that exact message, just trying to find some dates in the calendar. They would hit me back being like, oh, it won't work that week. Too bad you're not in town the next week. And I'd be like, wow, it's so crazy you say that.
This thing got rescheduled.
Oh, it's so
too.
nuts. I actually have another one the next week.
Did you go on? So when you were booking those, of course, it's like a gradual thing. So I'm sure initially it was stuff around Vancouver general area. But what was the first like tour that you went on?
Like my brother lives in the province next to us. He lives in Lethbridge, Alberta. And Lethbridge has... Calgary's probably the biggest city. Edmonton's the next biggest city. So I was like, okay, I'll go visit my brother, but I'll also hit up Edmonton and Calgary and Lethbridge. And I'll try and do like a school, maybe like a college or a high school, whatever. And I did. I set up 3 shows, and I was like, and they all were like down. They all fell for my little ploy, and it worked out great. And I did these, like, I couldn't believe I was getting on a plane to go do magic. Sure. And I was like, I'm going to make like $2,500 or $3,000 between these shows. Yeah. And I just couldn't wrap my head around that. And I was staying with friends in each one of the places, so I had like no costs. And I was like, this is it, I'm doing it. Yeah. So that was the very first time. And after that I was like, well, clearly getting on a plane and flying somewhere is just better, because it feels like people are more excited to book someone from out of town. I felt like I was easier to get work out elsewhere.
Even though you were pricing it higher because you had to include airfare and all that, right?
Yeah, not even. I would do it, like I didn't have any idea what to charge. Yeah. I literally had no one to ask. I had no way to reference it. So I was just making it up.
How much money do you think you made that first year?
Maybe like 30 grand.
That's pretty good considering having, I mean, I know you were doing magic, but still, like, not that that's a lot of money by any means, but like, hey, if you can make even 30 grand, that's pretty killer. Like my first sponsorship that was like anything significant was $2,000 for 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is not like livable, but it gave me hope. Like maybe this could be a thing.
Yeah. That was my first, that was like the first year I did it full time.
Right. Yeah.
The first year I did it like as a side gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably only made like 8 or 9 grand that year.
Sure.
And my dad thought this was a great thing, because he's like, you have a steady job at the city, you make like 55 grand, 50 grand, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then you're adding 9, 10 grand a year with magic tricks. I think one year I did like 15 or 20 grand. He's like, look at that. That's great. Now you got 2 things, a stable thing and an extra thing. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, nope, I'm going to trade all this in, this $75,000, $80,000 a year, when I'm like 24, trade that in for a struggling 30K gross, which probably cost me 15 grand to make that 30 grand, right? So
yeah, dude, at least
net profit was nothing.
So how long was it before that that theater show that you filmed it and then those viral videos? Was that like 3 years? Was it 1 year? Was
3
it 5
years?
So that was quite a while then of you kind of like building that up. So those, I know you filmed them, you edited them, and then you weren't super happy with them, so you didn't drop them right away.
No.
Right? But you eventually did, and it was like you were getting, I mean, you must not have had a following hardly at all on the internet before that. Yeah, you post them and then it's like, what, 10 million views over those 3 videos in the first couple months or something?
Yeah, I think the first one I put up, like, it went to like a couple 100,000 views like instantly, like overnight.
Wow.
And we're like, whoa, and this is in 2014.
Yeah.
So I was like, holy crap, this is like flying.
Yeah.
And then my friends, I'm like, will this hit 1 million? They're like, there's no way it hits 1 million. Why would it hit 1 million? And then like after like a week, it was at 1 million. And then it took off from 1 million to 7 million quick.
Wow.
And I didn't even know videos went that high back then.
Sure.
I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
So then I posted another one and it did like 1 million.
That was on YouTube that did those numbers?
And then it did, so I had another 1 million, another one, 2 million. And then, by the time the one ended, it was like 30 million views at the one of them.
That's crazy.
I made, off of that video alone, I made $1,500 a month for 2 full years.
from YouTube.
That's how much YouTube was paying out back then.
Wow.
It was just constant. Like every month I would get at least $1,500.
Yeah. Well, and those aren't YouTube shorts because this was long before that. This was like 5-minute videos, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, they didn't even have really, there was like no one knew anything about how to make money online back then. It was so fresh and new. And even YouTube, the way they would promote it, like they'd promote my video and then they would suggest my other video. Now they would like suggest a similar video. But back then they would just suggest more of your own stuff.
Yeah.
So if you had a viral video, you could just post more of your stuff and it would just be rocketing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you also didn't know how long that window was open because it's not like YouTube promised, hey, this is how we're going to monetize for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where like Instagram, right, was paying me for a bit a while ago now, dang, a couple of years ago at least. But anyways, they all of a sudden then were like, nope, not going to pay. You know, they change their pay structures and stuff all the time. So when you're making that money, it's like, wow, I have some money coming in, but this could stop literally whenever.
Yeah, that's just it. You never know. And like, I didn't even, when it was kicking off, I should have just dumped more and more videos down, but I didn't even think about it. I thought I won the internet because my goal back then was still TV. And after those videos were popping off, within like a couple months, I got offered 4 TV shows.
Yeah.
Like Penn and Teller Fool Us, America's Got Talent, some MTV show, and then some sci-fi show.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm doing 4 TV spots in America now.
Yeah.
What a big time USA, baby. I was like, this is crazy. From like, I grew up on a farm in an hour outside of Vancouver, Canada. Now I'm on 4 national TV shows in the States.
Sure.
I'm like, I'm famous now. This is it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't need the internet anymore. They're going to see me on all these TV shows. I'm going to be on The Tonight Show. They're going to give me a sitcom. I don't even know what's going to happen. Who knows, right? Like, I just didn't have any clue. And I didn't know anyone else in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Like, I was charging money to do magic, like, for years before I ever even saw a professional magician on stage.
Sure.
Like, I'd never even seen one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and at that point in time, you don't think about like ownership of anything where you're like, I have to build an audience that I have direct access to, right? Like, do you know Sunreal? He's from Vancouver. He's a rapper. Anyway, he's
I'm
a
not
big
good
rapper.
with rap. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he does singer-songwriter stuff too. Anyways, he's a big rapper. He did a very similar thing to you where he made this music video, and he had been rapping, right? But he made this music video and he was so confident in it. He quit his job that like Friday, he was working construction, posted that music video that weekend on Saturday. Within 2 weeks, he had a record deal out in LA.
Oh my God.
That music video is over 40 million views.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love that.
But same thing. So he gets like famous immediately and he's on tour with Mac Miller and he's like doing all this stuff.
Wow.
And then realizing pretty quickly, like, wow, I have no power over this.
Yeah.
Like at any point in time, they can just be like, nope. Or they can tell you that you have to do this or you have to do that. And he's totally shifted. And I'll get away from talking about it, but he's my favorite artist, good friend. He's the best man. Like, he's awesome. I've interviewed him a couple times. But now he like has built so much for himself that like through, you know, Patreon, things like that, where it's like, he's in control of all of it. He's fully independent and he makes pretty good money and nothing has to influence his decisions. He can just do whatever he wants, whenever he wants.
That's it, man. That's the...
Yeah, but I mean, back then when you were having things take off, like if you would have dumped money into YouTube, you could have been the next Mr. Beast.
Yeah, well, back then, the advice I was getting from the people that I found that did know,
Yeah.
or pretended to know,
Sure.
they were like, don't worry about subscribers. That doesn't matter. Follower count doesn't matter. Didn't even have the word follower back then. It was only subscriber.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't matter. Just matters on the views. And you wouldn't even get paid by, now you get paid by watch time. Back then, it was literal just views. Wow. So they're like, just drop clickbait, just get views. All I would have to do at the end of my videos would be like and subscribe, right? Or comment, or just trying to build a community would have been so... The ones that did it, I'm like, cringy and useless. Who cares?
Yeah.
We're just going for clickbait. It was just the wrong approach. I mean, I don't care. I'm not one to have any kind of like regret or hindsight or whatever.
Yeah,
It is interesting.
Sure.
But it just goes you to know, like, it goes to show that no one knows what they're talking about.
No.
Right?
Especially
And like,
in evolving industries.
yeah, like it really does feel like someone's giving you advice and they know. I think you got to go with what your gut telling you sometimes. Because I was like, surely this can't be the way, you know. But they're like, no, it is. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I can't say that. I mean, I'm sure I have been wrong, but I cannot think of a time where I listened to my gut and I was wrong and then I was mad.
Yeah, that's
right.
just it. Yeah,
Because like the only times I've gotten pissed is when I listened to somebody else and I was like, my gut told me the other way.
Yeah.
Like, why in the world didn't I listen to that? I want to talk a little bit more about the TV stuff because there's like so much to dive into about that. But what do you remember, like the initial email or the initial phone call or whatever for the first TV appearance? Was it the MTV thing? Like, do you remember the first time? Because it must have been a big moment.
Yeah, the first one was from Wizard Wars, which was one season on Sci-Fi.
With Penn and Teller, right?
Yeah, they were like judges for it.
Okay.
But the show was actually put together. One of the main producers was Rick Lax, and Rick Lax is a massive Facebook guy now. Like, he has one of the largest Facebook presences and Facebook
Like a Gary
pages.
Vee kind of person, or what do you mean?
Like anything. He'll post like magic tricks or sketches or riddles, or he's just a viral video creator on Facebook.
Okay.
He used to be a magician. And when he was a magician, he made this TV show and he put me on TV. And now, I mean, he's like, I can't even explain how he gets billions of views a month, like with a B, like an unbelievable creator. And he gets a lot of hate online because some of his stuff is very cringy, but it's not about, is it cringy or not? It's about, what is the algorithm like?
Yeah.
He's a master at figuring out the algorithm and making money from it.
Yeah.
So that's his full-time thing now. But back then he was still a magician, and he just got this TV show together, and he gave me the first, like, here you go, like, we'll put you on. I didn't know him at all. He just liked my stuff. It was awesome.
He liked off YouTube, or like, how did he get in
Off
contact?
of YouTube. The Magic World's quite small.
Yeah.
And this is a very magic specific show. So when you start Googling around magic, especially back then, you were not finding a lot of magicians.
Right.
And like I said, the Magic World is super small. So he was like asking around, I guess, and he was able to find 20 magicians pretty quickly. So yeah, I got this email, and I already knew who he was, right? And like I said, it's a super small community. So yeah, my friend's like, you're gonna be on TV, and I'm like, oh yeah. And it was just so like, because it wasn't a show that I'd heard of, I was excited, but also like, it wasn't like someone said you're going to go be on, Ellen or something, right? Where it had no, I didn't know what it was. So I was excited, but I was like, it might just be nothing. But yeah, it was still so sick. And then right after that, it was America's Got Talent. It's like, hey, can you come out? We saw you on we saw this video you posted. We want you to come. And they gave me 6 days notice. And they're like, we're going to fly you to New York, and you're going to be on America's Got Talent next week if you're down. I'm like, I'm down. Holy crap. And then MTV is like, we don't even want you to do magic. We heard this really funny story that you told at a comedy club, and they want you to come and tell the story we're going to animate your story. So I went down to LA, and now I'm like back in LA. I'm like, what is happening? And I told this story, and then they made this cartoon of me telling a story. I was like, this is nuts. They want me on TV now, and I'm not even doing tricks. Yeah. It felt really cool.
Yeah, but most of that stuff doesn't pay nearly as much as people think it does, right?
Like $1,000.
That's what I'm saying.
Appearance fee, that's it.
So how did you even afford, because you would have had to pump the brakes on like any income, not any, but a lot of the things that you had planned in order to do this stuff.
Yeah, and I had nothing planned.
Yeah.
Like, I had very little to move around. So yeah. I think that was like helpful to have a career not going anywhere at that point, because I didn't really have anything to move.
Available. Yeah.
Yeah. Like now if I have to Mr. Beast is like, do you want to come out and do, season 2 of the Amazon show? Yeah. Like last year I get this message from his team, and I'm like, how long is the filming? And they're like, 6 weeks. I'm like, I can't move 6 weeks to try and make $5 million against 1,000 people. Yeah. Like, what do you like? It sounds so fun. Yeah. But I can't move 6 weeks of shows.
Yeah, dude. No, I so badly want to do some dumb reality show like that, but I have kids. And I'm like, how am I supposed to convince my ex-wife, like, instead of 50-50 custody, why don't you just take them full-time for 2 months while I do this thing I'm not going to make money on?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, nowadays you can capitalize a little bit on social media, but even that, like, these television networks have really wisened up to the fact that they don't want to give you any more power than necessary.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things don't even, like, show your social media. You got to rely on people thinking you're interesting enough to look your name up, which they only have your first name.
It's crazy.
To then find your social media that way. So when you were on these shows, were you able to kind of capitalize and get people over to your Facebook page or your YouTube page or anything, or not really?
No, I wasn't. But I was able to use the clips because copyright wasn't policed as well back then.
Okay.
So I was able to take those clips and post them. And I'd already got a pretty good following going on YouTube and stuff.
Okay.
So I guess, illegally posted those clips back then. And that really helped. It was more content, and it was super high quality production content.
In comparison to your other stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And as a magician, I also got Penn and Teller at the same time. Penn and Teller Fool Us. I was on their first season they did in America in 2015. I was one of the first people to ever fool them on their show.
Yeah.
Now there's probably 100 people that have fooled them in the last 11 years.
Sure.
But back then there was 6 of us. So then I'm getting my corporate rate instantly shot up. I'm getting offers to go to, Singapore and Jakarta and London, and I'm all around the world to do these corporate events.
Yeah.
So I take all those clips and I put them in a promo reel and I post that, and I'm just getting companies call me like crazy.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of the money came from immediately.
Damn.
Sorry about my voice, everybody.
No, you're good. So yeah, you got to travel and do a lot of cool things. I'll do a really brief story about me. One of the first people I was a big fan of that I interviewed was this artist, Michael Sieben. He's huge. So I owned a skateboard shop for 10 years, right? So he's done a ton of skateboard graphics. He owned a skateboard company. He was the editor of Thrasher magazine for a long time. Like, big fan. He was one of the first people I just DM'd, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it. He's thinking as virtual. And I was like, dope. When are you available? He lives in Texas. Lives in Austin.
Hell yeah.
I road tripped to Austin during the winter on a camping road trip just to do that interview. Not
Amazing.
worth it, but it was like not worth it financially. But for me, I was like, this is such a dope life experience I got to have that I got to use as like a work excuse. So sick. Yeah. So for you, what was the first time you got flown outside of North America? I would say Canada, but like you jumped the border pretty quick. So what was the first trip you got paid to go out of the country?
So I get a call from this guy, and it's in Jakarta, Indonesia. And he's like, hey man, I do a huge music festival in Jakarta. And I'm like, I know where Jakarta is, right? I'm like, okay, it's capital of Indonesia. I know that, but that's it, right? And I'm like, well, do they speak English there? And he's like, yeah, everyone speaks English here. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, we really love you to come out and open for the band on the main stage, just like 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, I'm not very good with like most styles of music, right? So he's saying names of people I don't know who the hell, right? Yeah. And then I'm like, oh yeah, sounds cool. And then he's like, so how much would it cost to get you out here? And I have never quoted a big gig like this. I'm like, where'd you find me? He's like, just saw you on Penn and Teller, that clip you posted. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, of course. And I'm like, well, it's going to be $5,000. And then he's like, yeah, sounds good. I'm like, US. I didn't want him to think it was Canadian or something, right? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. In my head, I'm like, that's like 30% more right there than I was thinking, right? Yeah. And so I'm like, okay. So and then he's like, he agreed to it so fast. So I'm like, plus flights and accommodation, obviously. And he's like, of course. And I'm like, and you got to pay for my assistant. I just kept adding things because I didn't know what to do. And then he's like, yeah, your assistant, you, okay, blah, 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 no problem. And I'm like, wow, I said way too low of a number for this guy. But I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. I call my wife. I'm like, hey, you want to like, we're going to go do this? She's like, I got to work. I call my brother. He's got to work. I was like, hell no, I don't know. So I call my dad. I'm like, hey, dad, do you want to go?
Because you have to have an assistant now.
Yeah, now I need an assistant. Yeah. And he's like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're going to go to Jakarta together. And you're my assistant now. And you're going to carry my bags. And we're going to go do this show. And he's like, it's all being paid for. He couldn't process it. I'm 29 at this point. Him and I have never been on a plane together. We were not like a family that like traveled, right?
At least not to Indonesia.
Yeah, just literally never been on a plane together. So then I was like, he's like, yeah. So he agreed to come. And then we went. And it was insane. Like, it was so fun because my dad got to see that, like how my career actually was working, you know? Yeah. Like we got there. I mean, my bag's too heavy. I carried it anyways. He just sort of followed me around. And then I remember I did this. It was like 8,000 people, right? I go on stage. They have huge monitors so they can all see me. I do my 10-minute set. They don't really like it. They don't even care because they're like waiting for their music, right? Like they came for whoever is headlining.
You were filler.
Yeah. I'm just like this filler guy. I look like a glorified, like, you know, MC kind of weirdo, right? And then we walk off stage. My dad's like, all right, well, what's the next show? I'm like, that was it. He's like, you're getting 5,000, like in Canadian dollars, it was like over $7,000. Yeah. So you're getting $7,000 for that? I'm like, yeah. And he just couldn't fathom it. He's like, this is unbelievable. And then him and I just hung out in Jakarta for the next 4 days, like just as tourists. And he just couldn't believe it. And that was such a fulfilling feeling. And it was the first time ever. And now I know how much money I could have got. And now I'm like, well, next time this happens. But I never really had an agent or anything out of the gate. I didn't know what to do. Yeah. But that was like the sickest thing.
But that gives you a lot more leverage too then when you are like trying to book other things, right? Because it's like, hey, I've done this.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't know how much you got paid for that.
Yes, exactly.
They just know that somebody flew you to do that and they would assume that it's a lot more too. Exactly. And then you're like, okay, so then it's going to be this much or it's going to be this much, and it just kind of keeps going up.
100%.
So how much well, I guess you can say or you don't have to. How much do some of these corporate gigs pay? Because I know a lot of music artists that get hired for corporate gigs, and I know they get paid well to do it, which is the only reason that they do them.
Yeah, it all depends on what people want. Like for me, it typically seems to be like that 10 to 15,000 range.
Wow.
And I think when you go above that, you can start to get you can get to like pretty notable people when you get to like the 25,000 mark.
Sure.
So, and I just don't carry that amount of cachet. So I try and keep it. Yeah, I seem to get, that's my sweet spot. But also I'm not like trying to live on corporate gigs.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. I just quote it, and some of them are like, geez, we only had like $3,000 or whatever. And I got a million great magician buddies and stuff that I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I know who you should call. And I hand those out, and and everyone wins. Right?
Yeah, sure.
And, and I'm doing one on Tuesday for like half of my normal rate, but it's a Tuesday, and they asked me last week because someone bailed.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not crazy. So like, someone's like, we only have this. I'm like, yeah, man, I'll see you there.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if it's convenient enough.
But if you ask me, and it's a Saturday in December, and it's all Christmas parties, this is the number I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty honest with people. I'm like, hey man, just tell me your budget. I'm not here to get rich off you.
Sure.
You asked. That's the quote.
Yeah.
And then if they tell me something legit, I'm like, all right, well, I'm not hard lining. Again, I'm not doing an agent. Most of the time I'm doing it by myself. I do have an agent, but people just end up calling me directly anyways.
Yeah.
And
if you don't have to pay the 15, 20, 30,
exactly,
whatever
if I can do it. So,
yeah.
And whenever it goes just through me, I'm just such a pushover. I'm like, what do you really have? I like this radical honesty style of business. It doesn't exist enough in business, let alone in entertainment.
Yeah.
So I'm just always like, hey, let's just be super straight with each other.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I live in Eau Claire, which is this town. I don't know how big Janesville is, but Eau Claire's got about 70,000 people roughly, right?
Nice.
And we got this tiny little comedy club that has no excuse. It's not even really a comedy club technically. No excuse to have like big acts come through at all.
Yeah.
But my friend Colin Ryan started this thing called Clearwater Comedy, which was just like an open mic night thing like 10 years ago. And he just started doing that, just seeing like all these comedians that he really liked. And he was like, when are they coming through? Do they have an off day?
Yes.
And he's like gotten huge people. Like Sean Patton has been through.
Yeah.
I think he's performed 8 times. Sam Talent I interviewed Sam when he came to town to perform here.
Sam's such a beauty. I love Sam.
I don't even know if there's 100 seats in that place. And he could sell out way bigger. But like we get him because it's an off day, and he's like, well, I mean, I wasn't going to fly home. I was just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
And if like I've heard good things and the vibes are going to be good, then why not?
Yeah, man. If you give a comedian a really awesome 50-seat room, I don't care who they are. They're going to be like, I'm doing it.
Dude, Tom Segura. He had sold out shows at the Pablo Center, which is like there's multiple theaters in there, but they're like, I don't know, 1,000 seats or whatever, right?
Yeah.
He had like several of them. He just walked over because it's 2 blocks away to that little bar, little comedy club for the open mic, and did 10 minutes for free.
Oh, yeah.
Just because he was like, well, I mean, I'm here and I've heard good things. You guys are cool, whatever. I'll just go do this. Like,
Yeah.
so cool.
I mean, I'm definitely not Tom Segura, but last night when we walked off stage, me and my buddy Simon King, who's the comedian that's touring with me right now, we're sitting at the bar next door, and we're like, I wonder if there's an open mic around here. Like, we just had a sold out show with 300 people, and it was super sick. And we're like literally just looking for an open mic at this point. Like, why? What's wrong with us? Why are we so broken?
Sure.
But it's so fun. You just can't wait to go do it again. Whether you want to try something new or fix the thing that kind of was a little off tonight, you're like, oh, I need another shot at it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why people are so spoiled in New York City, right?
Hell yeah.
Because there's all of these comedy shows that the comedians aren't even telling people about.
Yeah.
It's really just comedians there, so that way they can work through their things and they're not getting paid.
Yeah.
Like because my sister lives in New York, I went out there, and so I got tuned into it a little bit, and I'm like, damn, dude, if you actually knew where these things were, like you could be seeing big name comedians any night of the week just doing their like little sets or whatever, and you'd be seeing new material all the time. Let's get back to the TV thing, because you eventually had your own TV show, which isn't 100% your own. It was you and 3 friends, right? I had heard that you were like pitching to all these people, and you were kind of trying to go over the top with these pitches to be like, I got to get your attention in some kind of a way. What did that pitch look like? Were you in, like, did you get down to your underwear like you do in some of your shows and pull like things out of your pants? what were the pitch?
All of those things. So basically, we had 8 different pitches. We had like 4 in LA, 4 in New York, and they were like, you're on the Warner Brothers lot, and you're like, oh my God, it's crazy. You're at Comedy Central. You're going to YouTube headquarters. Like, it's just crazy. And you're as soon as you're in there, you're like, oh, we don't matter, right? Like, we matter enough that they're making time to see us.
But we're not.
Sometimes you're talking to the head of A&E, and sometimes you're talking to some dude's nephew that works for CW Network, and you're like, this guy doesn't seem like a serious person. So you don't really know what you're walking into. But I realized right away, I'm like, this is not good. The best thing that happened was we were in New York. we're in New York and we're at the MTV one. This is one of the first pitches. And the lady looks at my buddy Chris. It's only me and him pitching. The other two guys are not involved in the pitch. Chris is 6'3", big beard, lots of tattoos. And she looks at Chris, she goes, very interesting. Like this is an interesting look. And she looks at me and she goes, honestly, Wes, I feel like I could throw a rock and hit 20 of you. And like, I didn't even have any facial hair back then. Just 5'9", white, clean cut, looked like every extra in Saving Private Ryan. Right? So then she's like, I feel it. And then her partner at the table is like, throw a rock and hit 10 of them. I could throw him and hit 10 of them. And they were just like not interested in my vibe. So I was like, okay, I got to turn this up. And I remember reading back in the day about Tom Green getting his TV show. He was like on the table, rolling around in like shaving cream or whipped cream, screaming, give me a TV show, give me a TV show. And I was like, okay, somewhere in between me looking like I look and Tom Green rolling around in shaving cream, that's probably the secret sauce. So after that, I started wearing like, under my jeans, I would wear like tights, pink tights with my buddy Chris's face all over them. Or like, I'd have like ones that said like and subscribe over the crotch. I would have like, we were trying to do these pitches without doing any magic as well. Because we're like, magic can be a little bit overpowering and kind of nerdy. We're trying to sell it on personality. And our other creator of our show, Ian Frisch, he couldn't be at the pitches, but he was calling in on all the pitches over like the intercom on the table. So I was doing this bit all the time. In the middle of him talking, I would just lean forward and be like, sorry, Ian, we're going through a tunnel. And then I'd hang up on him and the whole table would die. And he would be so annoyed because he's a long-winded guy anyways. But like, he also couldn't call back. It's a conference call. Like there's no way to get back on that call. So like, it was just the most absurd, funny shit. I'd be on the table. I'd have my pants down. We got Chris's face in my pants. Like just as much weirdness as we possibly could offer. And they were loving it. Like the places that didn't like it were like, yeah, this isn't for us. And you're like, great. It's better to get a quick no.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to be whatever. But the two places that were like, Comedy Central was like, we like this. True TV's like, we like this. Out of 8 pitches, we have 2 that are like, this is good. This is something's here. And we're like, yeah. So that's what it was. And we were also offering a show that hadn't been made yet. We're like, we're going to be magicians. And if we mess up on camera, we're going to leave it in the show.
Yeah.
If we make a mistake, it's in. Right. And ultimately, that's not how they ended up editing it. We didn't get enough of that. But that was the whole pitch.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a sketch comedy show, and sketch comedy shows have been successful since forever. SNL can prove that, right? So, like, there was already a proven track record of something that would work. Whitest Kids Unite. I mean, obviously there's a lot.
Well, there's like Impractical Jokers, massive show for True TV. They're still going. They're at TBS now. But True TV was like, come with us. We have Impractical Jokers. They're huge. You guys are like them, but with magic. This is going to blow up on our network. And we're like, hell yeah. And I've talked to Sal from Impractical Jokers since. And he's like, yeah, when you guys came on, we thought like, man, these guys are going to just bury us.
Sure.
Turns out it went the other way. Their fans were like, who are these guys? So didn't really work out like that. It still had good numbers though.
So what was do you remember the phone call when you got canceled? Because it was only one season. Were you like heartbroken? Did you see it coming? Like, how did that happen?
Well, it didn't get canceled at all because we had the second best numbers that network had in 10 years. Impractical Jokers and then us.
Wow.
Like, we were getting good numbers.
Yeah.
And then we're like, we're going to get season 2 for sure. And they're like, yeah. It was just always yes. But in Hollywood, it's always yeses all the time anyways. And we had to film it during COVID. So everyone knew coming out of COVID, it was going to be way better because hidden camera magic is hard to do when you can't touch someone.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone was like super excited about where it was going to go. And then Time Warner bought DreamWorks, or there's some sort of merger, which affected True TV. And that merger went through, and now radio silence. And so we're asking her, what the hell, what's going on? Turns out the executive that championed our show, she got fired. And because when they merge, they kick out half the execs, they keep half the execs. If you're an executive and you get booted from a TV network, mostly almost every time all of your shows go as well, because the new executive says, I have my own agenda, I'm going to bring in my own shows, we're going to make this a successful network. So ours just got scrapped regardless of the numbers. And at the time, Hulu offered to buy it or somebody like that, and they wouldn't even sell it, just shelved it.
Wow.
Like,
So
no.
you didn't have ownership of it as like a branding or entity, so you couldn't do anything with it afterwards.
Yeah,
either.
I think we would get ownership of it 3 years after we get the ownership back.
Yeah.
So I guess we have ownership of it now,
but everyone's doing their own thing.
yeah, it's not going to happen now.
Wow.
But yeah, it was really weird. But for a while there, I thought it was still going to happen. Like 6 months, almost a year. We're like even Penn and Teller Fool Us is on 11 seasons now. The distance between their first season and second season is 4 years.
Whoa. Okay.
Because this happens. Sometimes you can resurrect it and get a second season and be a super successful show. Mostly, it just dies.
Yeah, and then your career, I don't want to say it dropped, but you didn't know what you were doing then for a minute. Actually, before we get to that, I want to hear one story from Big Trick Energy, which you can still look up. It's pretty much all on YouTube now for free, right?
Yeah, I had a clause in my... just me out of the four of us had a clause that I was allowed to post clips on my
sick.
YouTube. And they just like, yeah, sure. They wrote it in. They fought me a little bit on it. Like, whatever, we don't care. But I mean, it's so much better.
Yeah,
Like,
so people can go watch it right now. Which one of all of the different... So what it is it's mostly like 2 to... I don't even think any of them are 5 minutes, right? They're all like pretty short little skits, basically. Sketch comedy, like magic things that happen. Like I watched a dodgeball one, and I watched one with a bunny, and I watched a bunch of them. Of all the sketches that you guys did, which one was your favorite and why?
There was one where we shot at where I grew up on my dad's property, and I was going to do this escape, and there's explosives in this box.
Wes is going to emerge from over here, chained up. He will then enter the box that you see before you. Now, this box is rigged with very real explosives.
And I had to escape before the box explodes. And the whole premise of this was I was going to prank everybody, including the 3 guys I work with, like the other 3 magicians, Chris, Alex, and Eric. And the big thing we had planned was I was going to get in the box, and we were going to have the box accidentally explode too early. So everyone on my crew would think that I died or was super injured. And because this is the kind of show we really like to mess with each other. And then right before we were going to film, the guy, the showrunner, he was like, I feel like you have to let the guys in on it. He's like, we're still going to freak out your mom and your parents and stuff. And, your whole family and friends are here to watch. They don't know. So we can still do the gag. But I think we got to tell the guys. And I'd planned months planning this and working with the team to design this trick and illusion to make sure I could get in a box and have it explode safely and I'd still be fine. And when the smoke clears, I'm going to be lifted in the air in an angel costume. And, just like not even magic wise, just from a crane, just like awkwardly, And I worked on it so hard, so much extra work to trick my friends. And then I ended up just having to tell them on the day. I'm like, they want you to know what's going to happen. So I had to tell them and whatever. But I still got to do this to my mom and my wife and my step-parents and my brother and my friends and my family. I still got to freak them out.
Yeah.
Which I love it because it seeing something come from like an idea to execution in TV, it's almost rarely there's always a lot of voices. And that was one of the few ones where like I got to create it like basically myself, without my other 3 magician friends chiming in. Yeah. So I think that one meant a lot to me. I got to do it at my family farm and everything.
Give Wes a round of applause, everybody!
You little
Sorry, Mom!
But ultimately I regretted it so badly after seeing the look on like my parents' face, my dad, my mom, like it was horrifying. I was like, man, I put them through a lot for that one. I watch the clip back sometimes and I'm like, but like that one, I mean, probably why it sticks in me. And one, I'm like proud that it worked so well. And then like feel really bad that I did that to my parents. So I think that's one of my favorites.
But that's because it works so well. So everyone should go check it out right now.
Yeah.
And then
it's called The Box Explodes.
You just said you really upset your parents, which I totally understand. As a magician, you lie to people right to their face constantly. And a lot of times, like, you kind of have to have that bit of a shock, and then you have to, like, win them back. I'm sure you don't always win them back. What was one of your not so enjoyable encounters where somebody actually got mad? It must happen sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I typically avoid that kind of magic these days. But like my mom and I were actually talking about the other day that when I was still like just doing it as a hobby, I was probably 21 or 22 or something, and I went into her work to hang out with her on her lunch break, and her friend was there, and I did there's like a whole section of magic that's telekinesis and moving stuff with your mind and stuff, and I used to be interested in doing that. So I just moved this lady's fork, and she was terrified. She's like in tears, left the room, wouldn't come near me. And I was like, no, it's just a magic trick. I just trying to explain. No amount of explanation was going to make her not uncomfortable. She was just so deeply uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to ever do that. I'm way funny magic. That's the way to go. I want to see people laugh and having a good time. I put this lady in a horrible state, and it was unrecoverable. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. And since then, I've found I don't do that kind of magic at all anymore. And yet, I'm in a room the other day with Jelly Roll, with Theo Vaughn, and both of those guys do not like magic. They're like, my buddy and I are both there, hired as magicians, hanging out, doing card tricks and stuff. And they're both them are like, no. And I'm like, well, it's not like you think. It's just card tricks. It's going to be fun. They don't want it. They're like magic creeps me out. And I'm like, whoa, I haven't even done anything yet. But maybe they had seen some magic like that before and they don't like it, or some mind reading stuff they don't like. And I won't do it. I'm just not my style anymore. So I'll never have someone probably have a bad reaction anymore. I really don't think so.
Dude, maybe Jelly Roll saw some stuff.
But that's what I mean. Like, I don't know.
He was in prison for a long time, so you never know what he saw.
And so, like, where you're from, where you grew up, I was just surprised because, like, they're both kind of fun guys. I've been around them both a few times, and I thought, this would be. I've never really hung out, but like, come hang out, show them some magic and get to know them better.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you do get to know a lot of celebrities, and I want to spend the vast majority of this talking about you, but you must have at least one funny celebrity encounter story. What's one you can share?
One of my favorite ones ever was me and my buddy Chris, same guy at the TV show with. We're sitting at a bar in LA, just at a cocktail bar, and he goes, hey, that's Jason Sudeikis. And I was like, what? And this is like before Ted Lasso, but I've been a big Jason Sudeikis fan for a long time. I'm like, no, it's not. He's wearing a hat. Like, I can't. Chris is like, oh, it is for sure. I'm like, well, whatever. It's LA, of course. And then we're just sitting there talking, and then all of a sudden Sudeikis is like right there, and he goes, hey, you two are magicians, right? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I've seen you guys on YouTube. And he pulls out a deck of cards. He's like, can we jam some card magic? And we're like, what? So he sits down. He's like, Olivia, get over here. He's still dating Olivia Wilde at the time. So she comes and sits down. And we're like, what the hell's happening right now? And then he's like, yeah, I'm a big time. I love magic. I got my audition for the Magic Castle coming up soon. I'm going to want to be a member at the castle. Like, I love magic. And so now we're just doing card tricks with Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde sitting there. And I'm just like, what the heck? That was like, she was so uninterested, but she was, enjoying herself with her drinks or whatever. She looked like she was fine. She was uninterested in what we were doing, but she was just zoned out. But like, he was just like a nerdy kid in a kid in a magic shop. It was like the weirdest experience. And I'm like, hey man, we're supposed to recognize you, not the other way around. Like, it was really sick. It was a real dynamic switch. Dude. Where he was just like, you guys are so good at this. Show me another one. And you're like, all right.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the funny thing. When you are like, even though magic is such a smaller thing than comedy and acting and everything else, it's like when you're at the top of that, they don't like, their peak is so much higher than your peak, but what they see are just peaks.
Yeah.
So to them, even though they're like at the top of their game, you're at the top of your game, they see you as like, not necessarily looking up to you, but they see you on that same level of like, you've put in all this. This is so impressive. I'm so excited. You know what I mean? Like, they get excited about all that stuff. Where you're like, I mean, dude, like I was telling you, I'm going to hang out with the Roy Butler tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
What is he doing hanging out with me?
Yeah.
But he has a podcast and he's seen my stuff. We got mutual friends and he's like, oh, so your show's dope. And I think it's, whatever, worth spending time on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not. But I appreciate that you think it is. That's so tight.
When we had our TV show, we had one thing we did with it. And we had a bear on set for one of the gags we were doing. So we had this lady who's a bear wrangler. She was the coolest person. We're like, I have a million questions for her. And you could see her doing the same kind of thing. Like, I'm like, no, but you're a bear expert. What's that about? Anyone who's on the top of their game, you want it. You're interested. You're like, well, tell me more.
Dude, yeah. Well, and so that this show isn't like funneled into anything specific, really. It's just like things you're passionate about.
Yeah.
So I interview people, like I was just telling you, I was just interviewing a 30-year veteran artist with DC Comics. And I'm not even like a comic book nerd, but I was like, so why did you pick the color green for the mask? Like, why the teeth? Like, did you get to talk to, like, because it's such a niche thing, it's like really interesting because I don't know anything about it. So I think sometimes with my audience, they might be like, dude, why you're going way too like far on different ends. And I'm like, but this is what's like generally like for me, it is the most interesting because I don't know anything about all this stuff. I interviewed like I'll interview a bowler and then I'll interview a news anchor and then a magician. That's great. It's like really all over the place. Okay. You must have had some things go wrong, and your name's Stuntmagician on the internet because you used to do more stunts, not so much anymore, but you can't really change your branding. Yeah. What's the worst a trick has ever gone awry?
I mean, I've had a few weird ones, I think, but like some of my favorite, like one time I was doing a trick where I was throwing tomahawks on stage blindfolded, and basically, there's a target over there, and I have someone's phone from the audience I've taken and stuck to the target, and I'm trying to throw these tomahawks, and I want to land them, one just beside the phone, and the other one I'm going to have hit the phone, and like then I'll fix it and I'll make magic trick and I'll make the phone fine, whatever. But the first one I do, I throw it and it sticks right next to the phone. And remember, I'm blindfolded, so it's quite impressive. The next one, for whatever reason, I completely choke show. And I throw this tomahawk clear over my target and like backstage where the sound guy is. And I just hear like, oh God, and this guy dives and just smashing a horrible sound. And I'm like, what the? I look and I'm like, see the sound guy, he's like, everyone in the audience is dying laughing. Because they're like, this was clearly a gag. Yeah. Even magicians in the audience afterwards were like, oh, that was so funny. That was so funny. And I mean, I had $1,000 worth of damage, and I almost killed this guy. And the only one that knew it went wrong was me and him. But I also have no end to this trick now, so I had to scramble and figure out how to wrap the trick up. But I guess it was my favorite because the audience, for me, that was like the worst possible thing that can go wrong with that trick, other than like hitting this guy in the head. I guess. Thank God I missed him. But I guess I love it so much because the audience just didn't know that it wasn't like this was my biggest fear for this trick. And the audience was like, this is fine. Like nothing's gone wrong. This is hilarious. And I guess that was like one of those things where I'm like, with magic specifically, you don't even know what's going wrong because no one knows what's supposed to happen. Yeah. So any of your stunts or tricks that are going to fail, they're only failing if you admit that they're failing. Yeah. But if you just keep riffing, and that's why being a funny performer is nice too, because it can always just be, it doesn't have to be picture perfect. It can just be funny.
Yeah, if you're Copperfield and the helicopter doesn't appear, it's a little bit more disappointing of an ender. I was never even really super into magic necessarily, but I was in Vegas and got to see Copperfield, and I got to he picked me to hold the balloon, and he popped a balloon inside the balloon. Whatever. That was like the moment where I was like, dude, this is actually kind of tight. I still haven't learned any magic tricks or anything, but it was tight.
I had one that wasn't even a stunt. It was a trick again for the TV show where I was supposed to there's a gag that I really thought was gonna be hilarious, where someone would pick a card. I would take the card, I'd rip it up, I'd drop it in a beer, I'd down the beer, and then I'd stand there and I'd piss my pants, and they're gray pants, light gray pants, and then in the piss it would write 7 of diamonds or whatever the card was. Okay. And I had these pants all prepared by our props guy with never wet or whatever, something to make so I don't know how it works, but I didn't ask enough questions. So I do this thing. I find out in the middle of chugging this beer, it's really hard to swallow a card in a beer. So I'm literally gagging through this, trying to get this beer down with this card that's folded up and trying to swallow this card.
Free choice. Screw up. Chug.
It was gross and not a smooth fun. Everyone's like, what this is really, but I'm like, this in my head, I'm like, this is still play okay. This is still, it might even help the bit. I get it down finally, and just like, oh my God. And I stand there and I do the piss part, and I look down, and it is not revealing a card in my pants. It is just a 36-year-old man pissing his pants, literally stopping a group of people to be like, I'm a magician, pick a card, drinking this card grossly, and then standing there pissing his pants. They're mortified. Well, the way the trick works is I'm hooked up to a hose through this bush. I can't even leave. I'm literally attached to a garden hose up my pretty much through this bush.
Are you pissing your pants? Are you pissing? Oh my God! He's pissing himself!
That's disgusting.
So gross. Some tricks don't work.
oh God. So I'm just standing there with these piss pants. And, and the ladies, oh, it's okay. Keep trying. Are you okay? Like, is he drunk? Like, oh man, it was a nightmare.
Did that make it on the show?
No, that would have been a perfect clip to put on the show, and they never put it on.
Oh man.
And my buddies that are watching from their table, the other magicians, Eric, Alex, Chris, they're dying laughing. It's the funniest bit ever. It's on the cutting room floor somewhere.
Dude, it's too bad you can't get a hold of that. Okay, so flipping to like magic that worked. What's the most impressive trick that you've seen somebody else do?
Oh man, that is like what a crazy, what an impossible question to answer. There, as a magician, we get to see so much insane magic at all times. Like the one that'll always stick out for me for my whole life. I mean, they're Penn and Teller bits, like Penn and Teller's bullet catch. A lot of magicians over the years have done bullet catch. Their bullet catch is the coolest, best version. It's impossibly fooling. It's so tense. It's like 9.5 minutes long, and it's just like this insane. And I guess it really sticks out for me because I'd seen it before many times. And then I go do their TV show. I win. And when you win on that show, they used to give you like $1,500 as like a good job winning,
sure.
Or you can come out and open for us in Vegas at some point. So I'm like, I'll open for you guys. That'd be so sick. I get out there, and they're like, we don't really do it the traditional way because the opening of our show is very specific, and you have to be on. We have all these props that we want people to, be able to come on stage and inspect before the show. So we can't have you open. So what we do is you actually close the show. So we do our whole show, and then we bring you out saying you're one of the winners, and then you do 10 minutes. And I was like, okay. But they're closing with this bullet catch, and it is impossibly good. And they suck the air out of the room for 9.5 minutes of this intense aiming a gun in each other's mouths and shooting each other. And it's so fooling and impressive and impossible and amazing and dangerous and everything you'd want a trick to be. And then afterwards, like huge standing ovation, Penn and Teller, the greatest of all time. And then they're like, oh, and here's Wes Barker. And I do magic that is so far from that. I'm out there like with my sword and my phone book doing gags with a carrot, breaking it over my finger. And like, it went fine, but like I was not going to do well after that. So that trick always sticks out to me as like one of the most impressive and one of the ones that I wish I had that,
Sure.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've gotten from someone and who gave it to you? Was it Penn and Teller? Like you must have spent some time hanging out with them.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think I have anything from them that really sticks out as far as that kind of advice, but probably the best piece of advice. I don't know. I think the best piece of advice I've ever gotten was like from like, it was that generic advice you got when you were a kid where they were like, you can do whatever you want kind of advice.
Yeah.
And we all got it. If you grew up in any kind of loving household or whatever, if you're lucky enough like that, then you all got this advice. You can be whatever you want. But it always kind of came with, you can be whatever you want, but make sure you choose from this list. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's always that unwritten rule where you can be whatever you want, but they didn't mean podcaster and magician, right? They meant choose out of this list. And it wasn't until like, it wasn't until like my uncle Mike was always like, really knew that I wasn't going to be like this kind of like 9-to-5er guy. So he was the one, he's like, you'll figure it out. You can just do, you don't have to, school's not for you. You can just, so I ended up doing 6 years of college, switching my majors over and over again. I finally just dropped out. I think it was mostly because of that, where I'm like, maybe I can just do this other thing. Like they did tell me, all of us when we're growing up, we can do whatever. So I really thought like, yeah. And then I don't know. So it wasn't like one singular person sat me down. Sure. But it was just years of like, I'm going to take everyone up on this. My entire childhood of being told I can do whatever I want to do. Yeah, maybe I will. And it really like, I don't know. I feel like there's something there for people is you like, if you like it enough, you're going to be fine. If you're good enough for long enough, it'll work out. Yeah. Well, and I think like people just need to, this is one thing I try to tell people to do is like, what actually is the worst case scenario here and what actually is the best case scenario here. Worst case scenario, you probably can dig your way out of that. Most likely. I mean, for you could die doing a trick, so maybe not, but generally speaking, you know what I mean? True. The worst case scenario when I opened my skateboard shop was like,
Worst case scenario, I close, I got into some debt, I'll go back to my job at Verizon, and I'm digging my way out financially for a year and a half. But I mean, if I would have went to school, I would have gotten debt anyways. So like the worst case scenario wasn't really that bad, but it was like, but best case scenario, I can wake up every day and love what I do, and I can have the freedom to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Right. And it ended up being somewhere in the middle, because that's almost always, it's not the best or worst case. It's not what you think it's going to be, but it'll be somewhere in there and hopefully closer to the top.
Yeah.
But the risk that people put it in their mind, they jump right away and they spiral of like, this negative thing's going to happen, this negative thing's going to happen. And it's like the chances of all of that happening and you being in this horrible spot that you're imagining is like next to nothing. That's not what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It'll be somewhere in there.
And like, I don't know what, if it's, what the cliches are, but they're all true in their own way. And always thinking about the fact that the regret only really comes from the stuff that you're not trying, right? And that like you're definitely not going to regret giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Like it's just so weird to think you would otherwise. But I have a lot of comedians and magicians that ask me like, wow, what should I do? Should I go for it? Should I, quit my job and should I give it all? And I'm like, if you're asking for permission, this might not be for you.
Yeah.
Like if you're literally asking me, I don't think that's a scary sign. If you're asking, if you want me just to confirm what you're already going to do, I'm happy to do that. But like, you don't need permission, especially nowadays, man. Put it out there, make the thing, put it on the internet, like post it. If it gets no views, you lose nothing. No one saw it. It can suck and no one will know because 100 people saw it.
Yeah.
If it gets a lot of views, mission accomplished. That's what you were going for. It's like all upside. There's no downside. It's not like 100 million people are going to see something and be like, this sucked. Yeah. Like that's not how the internet works really generally.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just try it, but definitely don't ask for permission, man. Or this is anything an entrepreneur is not for you.
Well, you just can't be that easily influenced by what other people have to say because like, even if you get what you're looking for out of this person, you're going to get a whole bunch of negative things too. And ultimately when you're going through it, you're going to have many times of doubt. Yeah. And then you're going to be in that same spot asking people, should I give up this?
Yeah.
Oh
my God.
And then they're going to say, absolutely, because right now you're making no money and this is ruining your life. You need to go back to school. You need to blah, blah, blah.
And I promise you, this is one of the biggest learning things I've had in my life is like, I have a general like happy disposition. I'm a lucky person with a brain that works reasonably well. I never have depression or anything. So I know I'm lucky that way, but I can tell you, however happy you are or fulfilled you are, it will not change. Like from making 10 grand a year to making $500,000 or getting flown around the world or having a TV show or whatever, it never changes. The goalposts move on your expectations and then the next thing, but you're never going to be like, yes, I made it. Oh, this is enough money. Now I'm happy. Like it just doesn't exist. However you feel right now, you will literally feel anywhere along that line. You might think, oh, once the money comes, it'll be fine. It won't change. You are you, and you will find a way to dial everything up and down in your life until you're exactly feeling the way you feel again. It'll be a little short-term bump, but my friends that have been in the industry a long time and haven't had any real successes or the ones they're looking for, they don't believe me. They swear, no. You're saying that because you've had more things. I'm like, I promise you. As soon as you get them, you just find a way to re-rationalize it in your brain and you go right back to however you feel.
Yeah, dude. Well, and I'm about to ask you to share a unique experience you're really grateful for that only happened because you're passionate about what you do. But the truth of the matter is the fun in that euphoria and all of that you had that first time you went to Jakarta, even though you only got paid $5,000, is more than a lot of way more epic experiences that happened later. Yeah. Because at that time it was fresh, it was new, it was this whole thing. So it's really not about like the money that it was. It was having this new unique experience that you were excited about. Yeah. And that can come from anything. That can come from just going camping somewhere new. That could come from picking up a dumb little hobby that you're like, oh, this is cool. That can come from finding a TV show that all of a sudden you're like, wow, there's 11 seasons of this and this is so sick. Yeah. It's like any little thing can hit that way. So yeah, I want to ask you that question because I think when you do things that you're passionate about for a living, you do get to have really unique experiences, and it's rarely financially driven why you're excited about it. It's very different things, such as hanging out with the Harlem Globetrotters and bringing my kids, and they're like, this is the best day ever. Like, those are the moments that are cool for me, even though I didn't like get paid to do that. Yeah. What's one story of a unique experience you got to have like that for you?
For me, it was actually like everyone had a different sort of COVID pandemic experience, right? And in Toronto and Canada, it was very much like you don't go outside, you don't see anybody, you wait in line at the grocery store outside and limiting people. Like, it was very limiting, right? Everywhere. So a lot of people were getting depressed, getting isolated and feeling alone, whatever. My wife, she's a flight attendant and I do this job. So I don't see her half the time. During COVID, she's not flying anywhere. Her job's done. I'm not performing. My job's done. All we had was my YouTube channel. So I'm like, well, I guess now we make sketches together every day. We're in a 1-bedroom apartment. Either you stay in the bedroom or you join the team. So she's like, my wife's hilarious. She's like, yeah, let's make videos. So every day we're seeing each other. And I have so many stories of friends that were like, oh, I had to spend all this time with my wife, whatever. And it was ruining relationships.
Yeah.
And mine got so much better. And it only happened because I have this YouTube channel. And if I had a regular job that got canned because of a pandemic, and so did my wife, we would have been this like negative energy. And all of a sudden we're stepping on each other's toes in a small apartment. No, we're just like unleashing creativeness on the world. And if I'm thinking about a good deed, the cookies turn out perfect every time.
I can't even ice them properly.
Whether some of them got amazing views and financially it was good, some of them didn't. But every day we're working together towards this thing, just being creative and having this huge outlet. That never would have happened any other line of work. I would have had a different view of the pandemic. It would have been like a sadder one. I literally missed the pandemic. I had such a good time with my wife.
Yeah.
What a crazy thing. And that would not have happened unless I was in this industry. And I had all these tools. I had the cameras. I had the outlet. I already had, 100,000 followers or whatever. So I was like, let's do it. And it was so fulfilling. And I love that. It's made my career's made my relationship with my wife so much better than any other career would have ever made it.
But what's cool about that is people don't have to have any of those resources to do that.
Yeah.
If your goal isn't necessarily to make money, that's why I encourage anyone who's like, I've always wanted to start a podcast. I was like, it's oversaturated, but do it. Why not? If you don't, the first episode I ever recorded this, which I re-recorded, but still, I just used the laptop I already had with Audacity as a free program. No mics, just the built-in with the computer, and just hit record and did the thing. And it was just me hanging out with a friend, and it was fun. Yeah. Right? And we have phones. Like, you could do any of that stuff with your partner or with your best friend or whatever. As long, the problem is we get older and we think anything that we're doing has to contribute financially in some way. This has to be part of my career or whatever. We lose all that sense of like play and just like fun, but it doesn't have to be gone. We have time. Just like make the thing, whatever thing that you're thinking about. Just don't care if it makes money. Just make the thing. It
makes no money, it goes out to no people. This will be the one time you sat down with your friend and talked for 90 minutes without playing on your phone.
Exactly.
Like, we're literally just engaged in each other's conversation, which we don't do enough, man. You're right. That it would be rewarding enough in itself.
Yeah, and you can throw it away. That's why I always say about artwork too, is like you can draw something and not show anyone. No one actually has to see this fail that you had. Well, dude, thank you so much for giving me your time and your voice, and hopefully this doesn't ruin the rest of your tour.
No, it'll be good.
Everyone can go follow you. Is it just Stuntmagician across the board on everything?
Yeah, pretty much. Or my name, Wes Barker, I think, on some of them, but mostly Stuntmagician. They're all going to lead to me. Even Wes and Magic, there's only like one Wes of doing magic. So
what's the best way people can support you? Is it like go on your website? Is there a place to submit? Like, this is my city, I want to see you come here. Is there like a Patreon somewhere, or like what's the best way?
I'm the most famous magician that will still answer your DMs. So just hit me up or comment on anything. I read a lot of the comments. I kind of don't comment back, but I'm reading them. So type in your city. I'm adding tour dates all the time. I have 10 up on the website right now, Canada and the US, but I got 20 more coming. I'm always touring. So add your city, come see me live. That's the number one way. Or buy my book on Audible, Wes Barker, Abracadabra. And it has a bunch of great stories, teach you 8 tricks. Amazon, Audible, wesbarker.shop.
Yeah, and you do drop products periodically, right?
Yeah.
You've made stuff, so that's all posted on your social media when that drops too.
Always.
So hit the follow and then hit the dumb little bell, because then you'll actually see things. And, like and subscribe to the show too. That would be killer. What song do you want to use to end the show?
Oh, man.
Should we use your outro song? The give me Wes.
Yeah, we could use that. Yeah, I can get you that.
How did that come about? Who's the voice of that?
My buddy Eric from the TV show, it's one of my best friends. His friend just makes music as like a hobby. I don't even think it's not even his full-time gig, but he makes these hilarious songs, and he's like, you need an outro song. He just sent it to me with no questions asked one day. Yeah, let's play that. That's a hilarious song.
Hell yeah.
Wes. Yeah, Wes. Yeah, Wes. Give me more. Give me Wes.